they try to undermine TABOR at every turn, like we just talked about, how they're trying to reduce our TABOR refunds, right? They hate TABOR. They'd prefer to not give us any TABOR refunds. But the fact of the matter is despite what they'd like, they have to issue TABOR refunds.
So beyond energy, the legislature, of course, dealt with your pocketbook. And the theme was affordability, because that legislature and that governor cares so much that things are affordable for you during these high prices. Ben Murrey with the Fiscal Policy Center here at Independence Institute. So tell me, this was an affordable session. But one thing I don't quite get, we have a historically high budget. I mean, obscenely high budget. But yet, it's supposed to save us money. I'm not quite adding that one up. Help me out.
Right. So that's the red flag right there. You caught it. How do we have the most expensive budget in Colorado history at $36.4 billion, and yet while spending more of my money than ever before, they somehow saved me money? That's what taxpayers should be looking at and asking themselves.
Let me ask you about a couple which just seems patronizing, insulting, duplicitous might be the right term. Things like, we care about your taxes, we care about your energy costs, we're going to cut the gas tax for a little while. We're going to cut the gas tax. Now, if I understand it right, this gas tax was passed by the legislature last session, signed on by our governor. They didn't ask us because they called it a fee. For the first time in Colorado history, gas has a fee instead of a tax, as if my wallet knows the difference. But somehow they're going to hold off on implementing it until after the election and claim that they're saving me money. I can't help but feel a little insulted.
Yeah, I mean, and you're spot on. I think we talked about this a little bit last time we went on the show, because the governor put that in his proposed budget late last year. And going into the session, they said, we're going to be laser focused on saving you money. That was one of the proposals the governor had. And we can get into the details of how that worked.
The quotation behind it should have been, we're going to be interested in saving you money until after my reelection.
That
would have been much more honest.
And if I had to say, what are the themes of this legislative session? One of the big themes is delaying costs imposed on Coloradans until after re-election. That's one of the big themes, delaying until after re-election.
Things that have already been voted on and passed. I also heard him put forward, like 50 ways to leave your lover, which you're too young to know the song, but
I know it.
The idea was, here are 50 things we're doing to save you money. And it looked to me like he was doing all these wonderful things to cut fees. Mm-hmm. So he's cutting this fee and that fee, fee that nurses have to pay for something, a fee that businesses have to pay to register with the Secretary of State, whatever it is. He's cutting all these fees. I'm like, wow, that sounds good. Is it?
So, it depends on who you ask, but...
I'm asking you.
But, what I think is most important for Coloradans and taxpayers to understand is that there was really... I couldn't find any real net savings to taxpayers in this legislative session. They did a lot of moving money around, allowing certain special interests or certain people, certain industries to get a benefit rather than other people getting a benefit. Now, the politicians...
So there's more choosing winners. But let me see if I understand it. If they're cutting fees, that's saving money for whoever the fee is being cut for. But what about me, the average taxpayer?
Right. So it gets in the weeds. But this is one of the main categories, the main ways in general in which they saved us money this session. Okay. And basically what it is they moved money around in such a way as to reduce the revenue the government's getting subject to the TABOR limit. Okay. In plain language, what that means is they're reducing your refund. How? By giving that money to someone else instead.
All right, I think I'm following you. So let me see if I got this. We're getting Taxpayer Bill of Rights refunds, even though they've brought up the budget limit over and over, the TABOR limit over and over by calling things fees, which means taking it offline so we could keep more money, by passing all sorts of things, the mill levy freeze, the hospital provider fee, the faster fee, all these fee, and now the gas fee, the Uber fee.
Yep.
All these things basically increase the TABOR limit. So they get to keep more of our money instead of refunding it. But they're so flush with money that there's still this massive refund coming to us anyway. We've overpaid our taxes by a lot.
And to be specific, for just 2 years, this year and the next year, TABOR refunds in the last economic forecast were projected to be about $3.6 billion.
Wow.
Now, after this session, it's going to be interesting to see the next forecast where they revise that down because they've robbed our fees, or not our fees, but our refunds in order to redistribute money to different interests.
All right, so let me see if I got this. Governor is proud to say, I've cut fees for nursing licenses or business licenses or whatever it is. All right, that's terrific. But what that means is our TABOR refund goes down to plug the holes of those fee cuts. Is
Precisely.
That the right? So in other words, if I've got this right, while the nurse might go, hey, I'm saving $50 or whatever it is, that's spectacular. But the rest of us are losing that in our refunds. So really, he's not saving us money. He's costing us money every time he says, I'm cutting a fee.
John, you are spot on. And dollar for dollar, by the way. So one of the big things he's claiming for saving Coloradans money is the business fees that you just talked about, right? So business filing fees have been delayed until, again, that theme, after his reelection.
Right.
So he's delayed business fees and he says, look, I'm saving businesses money, right? Well, I think that delay was about $50 million. So that's $50 million that aren't going to be coming in from business filing fees. But that reduces our TABOR refunds by exactly the same amount.
Right. So every time he says we're saving you money, he's actually screwing everyone by reducing the amount of refunds, tax refunds.
And that's what I said earlier, right? So another way to look at it is he's just choosing to give that TABOR refund money to people filing to start a business rather than just to all the people in Colorado.
Right, so talk to me a little bit about this pre-fund. So the Democrats got together and without saying the word TABOR, said they're going to give us a check for $400, and now it's at $500?
Now it's $500, so
well, that sounds great. Interestingly, before the election. Now, part of me thinks whether it comes before the election or after the election, as long as that surplus gets back from where it came, taxpayers, it's a good thing. But I can't help but say, oh, this is so patronizing. This is your money. It's coming in a refund to bump it up and have individualized checks instead of just lowering your next year's taxes or whatever it is. It's so insulting and it's so transparent of trying to buy votes.
Yeah, it's clever.
Silly.
It's clever, really,
It's clever.
right? Because Democrats hate TABOR. They try to undermine TABOR at every turn, like we just talked about how they're trying to reduce our TABOR refunds, right? They hate TABOR. They'd prefer to not give us any TABOR refunds. But the fact of the matter is despite what they'd like, they have to issue TABOR refunds, right? They've reduced TABOR refunds a lot, but they're so flush with
so
cash.
much money coming
There's
in.
so much money that despite their best
can't
efforts
spend it all.
to reduce TABOR refunds,
It can't happen.
they still have to issue refunds.
Right.
And the politicians go, shucks, we don't want to have to give this money back to taxpayers, but since we have to anyways, let's claim credit for it.
Now, when the governor was called on this and said, oh, this is obviously just politicking, he said, hey, they're going to get these refunds. It's better to get it to them sooner. I kind of agree with him on this.
Yeah, sure.
All right, that's spectacular. But what I don't hear them saying when they all lined up on the West Steps saying, we're going to give you $500, was this is $500 thanks solely to the taxpayer Bill of Rights, which we hurt all the time. And in fact, if we didn't give you the faster fee, the mill levy fees, the hospital provider fee, the Uber fee, the gas tax fee, and myriad other ones, instead of $500, we'd be giving you $1,500.
So another piece of the story that needs to be told is, okay, sure, we're getting $500 a little early. $500 they had to give us anyways.
All right.
And
by the way, let me also say, in an inflationary period, I would rather have $500 now than $500 at the end of the year.
And that's fine. But here's the story that needs to be told as well. Remember how we talked about them moving money around in order to reduce our overall TABOR refund? The estimate is that all that money moving that they did will reduce each individual's TABOR refund by $120, right, in this first year. That means that instead of getting $500, we really should be getting $620, right? So we should be getting $620, but instead they're giving us $500 and then saying they're saving us money.
Right. They should be giving us a lot more. It's a celebration of the taxpayer Bill of Rights, and nobody wants to say it. That check we're going to get for $500 only exists because in 1992, the people of Colorado said enough is enough. We want to vote on taxes. We want to vote on debt. And if you're going to raise any of that, you have to ask us permission. And anything over the current limit, you're going to have to refund. If you want to keep it, you just ask us. That's all it is. It's simple consent. But instead, this legislature, and by the way, Republicans have done it too, let's be honest about this, they don't want to ask for consent. And they're so duplicitous about it that they're giving us our refund. It's like getting your federal refund check, after tax day. Well, we're going to give it to you a little early. It just means what you get after tax day is going to be the same amount less. You get the same amount of money, but it's before the election.
But I'm actually pretty excited about this because what I see is Governor Polis and Democrats in the legislature parading TABOR around like it's a great thing. And I'm just so excited to see
But they
Democrats,
never say that.
But you know what? I'll take it. Democrats love TABOR. That's the story here. They love TABOR. They paraded it around this year. They claimed victory for it. So we're not going to see them trying to repeal TABOR in the future.
I love that, as you know, we're working to lower the income tax. They have a temporary income tax cut, which is spectacular. I want a permanent one. That will be on this fall's ballot. And so they also get to say we're lowering taxes. I find that also disingenuous because if you lower taxes, they don't go back up without a public vote. That happened this session as well.
Yep.
All right. So how does this all play out? We've got a minute left. How does this play out in the elections? Do people understand this? Do they understand they're being toyed with?
I'm not sure.
Having their money, their own money is being dangled in front of them as if it's saving them money, when in fact it's costing them.
I'm not sure. I think the Independence Institute and Complete Colorado do a really good job of getting that message out there, but we need to keep telling that story. We need candidates telling that story as well when they're out on the campaign trail, because the truth is I don't know that this Democrat-controlled government saved taxpayers on net a single dime.
No, it costs them more money. And to delay taxes is not, what it is? Justice delayed is justice denied. And these tax increases being delayed is still TABOR denied. It's still a tax increase without a vote. I'm glad. I'm thrilled. Governor, if you're listening, thank you for getting our tax dollars back to us. Now, give us back our fee increases. Man up and do it permanently. That's what's going to save Colorado. Colorado's income or inflation rate is almost a point higher than the national average. That's a lot, and it has to do with their policies. Ben, thank you as always. It's good to hear. Check out the Independence Institute at thinkfreedom.org. If you enjoyed that conversation, by all means, click one of these other great programs. We have the best conversations with the most fascinating Coloradans. And subscribe to our channel. Just click down below and hit that little bell button too. You don't want to miss a single show.